You ready, Linda? Perfect, thank you. All right, the meeting's now in session. We'll start with the minutes from the April 22nd board meeting. We've got dual minutes. We have that special meeting there. Does anybody have any questions, comments, additions, deletions, what have you, minutes?
No.
No, I'm good.
None.
Does that go for both sets?
Yeah, I looked at them earlier. I had no issue. Yeah.
Okay. Then both sets of minutes will stand as written. That brings us to a bid opening for the fire department vehicle service. We have two bids. I don't know if I'm supposed to show them to the camera, but first one is Jerome Fire Equipment. Second one is Priority, who is we've been traditionally serviced by. I'm going to open the one from Jerome Fire Equipment first. This is where Bobby Bush would normally insult me for not knowing how to use a letter.
You're supposed to say, and the Oscar goes to.
Yeah.
That's coming.
Okay. A lot of awards and certifications. Bid specs. Let's see here. So there's three separate sets of numbers for each vehicle. Linda, can you type these into the calculator real quick so we can add them up as we go? First one is 2338.25, $2,338.25. You're muted, Linda.
25 or 45?
25 cents.
25?
Second one is $2,508.25. The last one is $2,411.75. That's all three vehicles combined.
72, 58, 25.
And that is Jerome. Thank you, Linda. Just double check, make sure there's nothing else in here that I'm missing. Don't believe so. Now open the priority fire bid. Okay, this bid is in a slightly different format. If I am reading it correctly, it is a total of $4,240.
$3,000 less.
Yeah.
$3,018 less.
So if I'm understanding the way it is written correctly, Priority, who we've been working with, would be the apparent low bidder Uh, I would say before,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. I didn't know what it was. I would say maybe if the board wants to, did Nate call in?
Nate's on.
Nate's on. Okay. Hey, Nate, how are you?
Oh, hanging in there.
Nate, can we award this contingent upon the fire chief and attorney's approval, or should we just table it if we want to get that because of this odd format here?
Yeah, I would table it. You opened it, you announced the low bidder. There's now just, and this is typical, you don't necessarily award at the same time as you open because we do need to review all the documentation that was provided, make sure that there's no mistakes in the bid packet or the bid information that's been submitted, any glaring pricing errors or anything like that.
Okay.
So likely the next meeting you could comfortably award. And if it's something that's really urgent, push comes to shove, I guess, we could figure it out and then have you sign the contract and have the board ratify it at the next meeting.
Okay.
I think we've done exactly that, Ryan, in the past. We've had the chief review the
Yeah.
bid, be sure
We
that
have.
everything's correct in there.
We
He's just
have.
normally at the meeting.
You
So
should-
obviously
yeah.
right now he
And
can't.
that, if he's not here, so we'll
Right.
have to do it that way, but I think that's normal to open them and then have him review the apparent low bid to be sure it's right,
Correct.
and then we act on it.
Okay, does anybody on the board want anything specific from this? In the meantime, anybody want to look them over or anything like that?
I'll hold them up for you to look at.
Well, no. I can do that if you'd like. Okay, then we'll table that and let everybody sink their teeth into it. We have 3 water reliefs next. The water trustee is not here unless she dialed in and I didn't know it.
She did not, and she didn't respond.
Okay. Let's start with account C0110. I don't have these details right in front of me because of the way this is working right now.
He had gone
Linda,
to,
could you walk?
they had gone to Florida and came back and found the hot water heater had a problem. And so it was a mess in the basement, and it has fixed it. The receipts that were sent in a separate email or a separate document, those were his receipts from repairing the hot water heater. So he's obviously looking for whatever relief he can get. His bill went from a normal bill of $500 to $1,300 to $14,700, so it went up tremendously. And the bill that's outstanding right now is over $1,300. So he's looking for whatever relief he can get out of that.
Whose claim is it again?
Mr. Bates. C1
Accounts.
110.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you give the outstanding bill number one more time, Linda? I'm sorry.
The total bill is due right now is $1,364.44.
Okay.
And
What's the
normally,
usual?
in his normal
Yeah.
bill usually runs anywhere between 115 and 160.
Station alert has arrived.
So we're talking huge.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah. I mean, he normally uses anywhere between 1,300, 500, 1,300, 1,000.
What was the issue again?
Hot water heater had leaked while he was gone.
How long was he gone?
He was gone in the winter in Florida.
Oh,
3 months
geez.
probably.
Must have done quite a bit of damage.
Yeah.
Well, once the tank emptied.
Look, I mean, I'm judging from visual cues, but it looks like Jason may be crunching numbers.
That's what I'm
Trying to.
thinking. That's what I'm hoping.
Trying to.
That's a big number.
Jeez. My 90% rule would be The difference between the two times 90%. The difference between the two is $1,200. 90% would be 1,200 minus 120, 1080. So that would be about $1,100 relief. And that would, it'd still be costing him about $100.
Plus
for
all
relief,
his repairs. that
plus
he
his
did.
repairs. So I guess if nobody has any other suggestions, I would recommend we offer $1,100 relief.
I will take that as a motion if you're comfortable with it.
Jason, what
yes,
does
sir.
that take, what does that take the bill down to?
$264.44, right?
They're
Yes.
usually they're
Yes.
usually running about $150, you said, Linda?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he spent over $400 in repairs.
Right. I mean, that's just, I mean, typically I do 90%, but the number is not usually this big.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, if we could get the bill down to 250 maybe, or would that be fair?
Okay.
Anything is fair.
I mean, honestly, we don't have a rule. It's just more of it's just sort of a basic formula I try to adhere to, and I do some rounding. Let's see, if we were to do, I suggest 1,100. If we did 1,200, that would bring his bill pretty much right back in line. Want to split the difference? We can do 1,150. I hate giving people the entire amount due just because there is a cost to the village.
Yeah.
So what would what would the bill be again? That's what, I look at it from that end.
Right.
They had
so-
1,100.
Sorry.
Sorry, Jason.
If we did 1,150, that would be
240.
$214.44.
The $1,100 is the original.
Right,
Was
my
took it to
first-
264, correct?
Right. Yes, 264. 264.44, and then the other one was 214.44. So if we gave him $1,100 credit, his bill would come to 264.44. If we gave him $1,150, it would be 214.44.
I like 1,100.
You like 1,100 even?
Yeah.
Does anybody else?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
So Jason
I
made the
think it
motion.
could-
Is that how I got it?
So I'll make the motion that we offer $1,100 in relief.
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, then we'll call a vote. Jason,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to account B0530. Linda, can you give us a verbal on that?
This one, he realized after Jim went back out and said, hey, your bill seems to be high. He went under the house in the crawl space and he was able to repair a copper fitting had broke. So he had a fitting in his house that he used and got it to stop. So his bill's higher than normal. So it wasn't as bad as Mr. Bates, but there was a leak under his house.
How far did it deviate from his normal bill, Linda?
Well, he's anywhere between 1,700, 1,900, 2,400.
And what was the bill?
The bill this time was 3,800 cubic feet. So the total amount is anywhere usually 90s to 100, 108. He did say he started noticing that his last bill was up a little bit, but he thought, well, you know.
Mhm.
I assume that was water usage. The 3,800. That's not the dollar bill.
Usage.
Right, yeah, that's
That's what
the
I was like,
usage
geez.
numbers, yeah.
Sorry, Jason.
That's okay. I'm used to seeing my bill. So
Well, when you're a senior, though, that really hits home.
So what are the dollar amounts we're talking about? Like, what's his typical dollar amount bill? In this
Typical dollar bill is around $95 to $100.
And what is that outstanding?
What was the bill?
209.96.
209.96. So we got $110. So at 90% would be about $100 forgive $100.
I like that.
That would bring his bill to $109.96.
I like that.
All right, I can move that.
Jason has made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Do we have any discussion?
Thank you for crunching numbers, Jason.
No problem.
Yes, G, thanks.
All right, so we'll call a vote. Jason,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes,
Mike.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to D0160.
This one has asked for relief in the past. She ended up finding her bill was really high and brought that to their attention. And they ended up looking into it. They thought it was a toilet ran or something, but it wasn't. Apparently outside the chimney of the house, there is this water line that runs up that part of it.
Yeah, I
And
read that today. That was weird.
Yeah, and then they ended up finding it, and so now she's got this problem.
You ran piping up the outside of the
Apparently-
chimney?
Yeah, apparently they used to burn wood in there.
Okay.
So
Linda, can you see if and when the last time we granted relief to the account was?
if I lose you, I can't minimize while I'm in a meeting.
Oh, okay. Well, it should
Sorry.
show on should show an odd credit amount, shouldn't it?
But it
Or
would show
no?
me automatically right away the other way. I know since I've been in this position, we've granted relief for this one.
Okay, I'm just curious how.
Did you look at the name for who this is?
I have not at this very moment. I don't
Jason,
have
did
it
you
from-
look?
because I haven't minimized.
Whose property, may I ask? I'll inquire.
Your neighbor, a neighbor of yours.
Mine?
Look, Jason. you
Um,
look.
I'm looking through. I'm trying to figure
Yeah,
out.
it's kind of.
Sorry, I know there's 27 pages with them. I'm looking, Ryan.
But what's
Julie
the
Messina.
outstanding bill?
The outstanding bill right now is $546.50.
Does that include that's just current? There's no
The
overdue.
current.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm in trouble. Oh, here we go. Okay. No. that
Usually
one's-
her mom does all these papers for her.
That's 14. I'm still trying to find the right document. One sec.
Sorry, Jason.
That's all right.
So the bill is $546.50, and usually she runs 117, 106. We gave an adjustment on 610 for $50.
6/10/19.
Yep, there's that one I see right off the bat real quick. But without going into the system, I can't tell you for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, still looking here. Oh, we have a lot
So
of them.
546.50, Jason.
So 546.50. Normal usage is 117.
117, 106, 114, yeah, 115.
Comes out somewhere around 400, I think. I haven't done the numbers, but roughly.
Yeah, it'd be about 4 1/4. 90% of that would be about 390. So if we give credit in the amount of 390, 546.50 minus 390, that'd bring the bill to, oops, sorry, hit the wrong button. 546.50 minus 390, that would bring the bill to 156.50.
Yeah.
So that would be a credit of $390.
Is that a motion? Sorry.
I'm just kind of making sure that numbers sound right to people as I say them. If it
Sounds
sounds
right.
right to everybody, I will make the motion. Yes.
I'd say for consistency, that's good.
Second,
We have a motion. We have a second. Do you have any discussion? We'll call a vote. Jason,
Yes.
Bob,
yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda and Jason, for carrying the load there. We have a water correction as well. So
Yeah, this
Kinda-
one's been done. The meter was read incorrectly. This is just an FYI for all of you. So there was a correction on it, and I've made it. But that's just an FYI for you that that amount has been taken off. So, okay.
I think we probably technically should make a motion to approve it.
Yes.
I'll move it.
You make a motion.
Mike made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll technically second it.
We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any discussion? We will call a vote. Jason,
Yes.
Mike, Bob,
Yes.
sorry.
Oh,
Okay, Bob too. You vote too.
Bob votes yes. I don't know what Mike's doing.
Mike votes yes as well.
I'm reading in the order of my images on screen. Trying to- Okay, so then there's just a brief update, on where our office stands. Linda will probably talk a little bit about it, but the long and the short of it right now is nothing can really occur. We're kind of in a holding pattern, but I'll let Linda share what she has been tuned into.
Sure. I was in with the NICOM webinar today for the Southern Tier region, which we're part of, and it was very good. I thought we were going to be able to reopen back up in phase 2, but municipalities are not included in any of the 4 phases. So that changes the whole thing. According to the attorneys for NICOM, we would fall under Executive Order 202.4, and we wouldn't be allowed to open back up until June 7th or 8th, 6th or 7th, whatever the day is that expires at this point. So at this point, we're on hold for all that. So we're still at 50% staff, and we will continue to be that until that expires, or they renew it, and then we'll go from there. So I have talked with Charlie and Sandy in the town of Triangle. They have not made any decisions as to how they're going to proceed at this point, final plans, which is interesting. So we're trying to work together in some of this sort of stuff. So you knew that they had installed the back window. I had mentioned that. Today, Dave Rapp, the rap that's on the town board came in. He was measuring the window. They're going to actually put one of the plexiglass type things in the window inside. So once we do open, you won't have full access to just open air into the office. So they're going to install that for us. I have asked for a Dutch door for my office so people can't just wander in also. So we're sort of working together with them on what the plan is to reopen, and how we can reopen the building and when we're going to look at reopening. Charlie's concerned about liability coming back to municipalities once we actually do open the building itself in general. So nothing looks like it can happen or our staffing could change until at least June 6th or 7th. So meanwhile, we'll have to start developing our plan, look at what how we're going to handle some things, whether it be taking temperatures, which is another whole issue in its own right, whether we're going to require masks, how all that sort of stuff is going to fall in place. So that's going to be some of the next steps that we'll have to look at in our plan developments. So sanitation, how often do we wipe down counters, all that sort of stuff. So we have to start getting in that plan next. I have pulled stuff from CDC, OSHA, NICOM, Forward New York, all that sort of stuff to start looking at our office, as well as talking with the town. So that's where we're at.
Nate, do you have anything to add on that subject at all?
I think Linda has covered it pretty thoroughly, Linda. I mean, that's you're doing everything I would recommend that you do.
We have our masks in, we have our gloves in, we have disinfectant wipes in, all that sort of stuff. And we were working in the ways we need to based on the guidance that are out there. So.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say it's there's been a lot of discussion with the folks in my office about the interplay of these various executive orders and the idea that the governor's lifting of the pause in certain regions may end up superseding some of these orders that, like the NICOM folks have said,
Yes.
otherwise expire of their own terms
Right.
in early June. So we're actively reviewing to see what the county does, what the governor says, if there any of the language that they use indicates municipalities can reopen a bit earlier, because short of the governor's issuing a new executive order allowing businesses specifically to reopen, this whole on pause thing isn't authorized by the executive orders, at least not in any specific fashion. So we are actively monitoring. If and when we hear anything about being able to reopen, we'll let you know. And then, of course, as Linda just said, you will need a plan in place. And Linda, I don't know if you've seen the county's outline of a plan yet. I was emailed that the other day. But
I haven't seen their plan. I did sit in on Jason Gardner's seminar, his online Zoom meeting yesterday with 199 other people. I found it to be a lot of the same old, same old. The only thing that I did get out of that was the fact that we need to have a written plan in place, and that written plan needs to be accessible for all, visible to anybody who comes in, and the fact that Brian would probably have to go to a site on New York State site somewhere to affirm that we actually have a plan. That's the only thing I really picked out of Jason's yesterday. So I haven't seen theirs. He recommended that we go to our associations and get like a template to utilize to help plan towards reopening. I've asked NICOM for that. They've got some things, but there's no template by no means.
Yeah, and I think they'll probably end up putting one together.
Yeah, that was part of their conversation today, because Peter was on there, Barbara was on there, which is the executive director for NICOM, and a couple of the attorneys were on there as well. They're going to start, because they're behind us in Albany at this point. So they're actually going to start working on this, but they're just not there yet. They're going to work with NYMER in the process too.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea, because of course, I hate to agree with the town of Triangle supervisor, but once you reopen, we are likely going to want to make sure we're following the insurance company's recommendations for how to,
Correct.
and that's something that insurance companies routinely do. They review your policies and procedures and basically tell you if they'll cover you or not for what you're doing, or if they think what you're doing is inadequate.
Right. And I've been getting notices from the partners, which is the one who carries our NYMER insurance. So, so I'm working on gathering stuff, and then we'll have to review it and go from there.
Right. So nothing else to add, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments about that topic before we move on?
No.
Jason, what are you guys doing with your business? Are you opening now?
Well, because he hasn't, since the governor hasn't actually officially said anything about reopening, we're assuming he's gonna release the pause on the 15th, which means since we're essential, that we would start restocking the non-essential parts of our business that day. So we're gonna phase, I think, over the course of the next 2 weeks back in.
I was talking to one of the vice presidents from NBT Bank today. They're not going to get their people back in their offices in Norwich until probably the middle of July.
Yeah, I mean,
they're erring on the safe side.
I have many opinions on this that are probably not popular, but I don't believe we are any farther. I don't think we're in any better situation now than we were on March 15th. So
I'm
I
not
think
sure we'll get there either for a while.
now without testing, we can't. So I'll save that for another time, though.
Yes.
Any other thoughts, questions, or comments? Okay, then the next related item is the COVID-19 containment measure, which is what we've been passing each meeting to extend, essentially, to cover our employees' salaries who are not able to work to the next meeting. Our next meeting would be May 27th. Anybody have any thoughts, questions, comments? Anybody want to make a motion?
Guess
Bueller?
one of the questions I have is how long can we keep doing this?
Fiscally?
Well, not so much
Or legally?
legally. Yeah.
Fiscally, I mean, my heart is in it, but I recognize we're going to take a huge hit here in income and stuff, and I just don't know, and I can't see papers or numbers or whatever to really get a handle on it. So I'm
I
kind of
can share with you what was shared today during the NICOM meeting. I was going to do that under mine, but it's not looking pretty. Not looking pretty at all.
It's going to be different for every municipality in a lot of ways too, because it depends on, you know, a lot of different factors that are specific to your municipality. It's going to be some type of hit.
We'll know more after Friday, after the governor makes his cut announcements that he's looking to do.
To the question, I guess, legally, how long can you, or, are you required to pay folks while they're out like this? I believe the executive order only requires you to allow them to take leave without charging accruals. I believe it's silent as to whether or not they actually have to be paid during this time period. Certainly, I think many or most places are choosing to pay these folks. And if you decided to explore not paying them, I would want to just take a little bit of time to make sure none of the 30 executive orders require payment at this point. I just don't know it off the top of my head.
I know we're taking advantage of what's the New York Shared Work Program, which is like a partial unemployment. Again, I don't know how that would apply to a municipality, but essentially it allows us to cut our workforce by 20, 40, or 60%. And while we pay them for that time, they get unemployment for the days they miss. I don't even know if it might even be too late to even start considering that, which is why it's so important that we settle on a date or don't settle on a date. I say we, but I mean the governor. So it's so hard to plan without even a week's notice of what's going on.
Yeah. And we're at the mercy of the town in our situation too, and on some manners. So.
And they know that, and we've had that. We've been very clear with that. I've been very clear with them in that conversation that whatever they do hinges on how we have to handle things too. If they were talking at one point of letting people come in the outside door, but then the inside door, they wouldn't let them come in if they don't take temperatures of them before they come in. And then you get into the whole taking temperature issue and the legality of that and who's going to handle that information if they've trained and, so all that sort of stuff is going to hinge on how we have to handle things too.
I guess in the meantime, I'll move that we adopt the resolution until our next meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any discussion? Then we'll call the vote. Jason.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Mike.
He's gone. You have to vote.
Oh, Mike's gone. I vote yes. Thank you for letting me know. That brings us to the attorney's report. Nate, you have the floor.
So I was emailing with Ken a little earlier. We do have some site plan applications that are coming up. Apparently one has been submitted, and I believe it relates to a sign. So we're sending the 239 referral in, and I think, Linda, I don't have a copy of the village code with me at home, so I do need to go in the office to grab mine. So I can't say, that'd be great if you could do that. But so I can't say if we need a public hearing or not for that matter. But if you have had public hearings on site plans in the past, then I would ask that you plan on scheduling a public hearing for probably the first meeting in June.
Most site plans we do, though they're not usually for signs. Was the Arby's? Did we have a public hearing for the Arby's sign incident, Bob? That was a variance, though.
Absolutely.
So maybe we should just do it just to be safe.
But we'd have to be together for that, wouldn't we?
Well, so when is your
June
is the-
10th. So we should, if the last executive order expires, we should be okay.
Yeah, it would be in person.
Right. But if
Yeah,
he doesn't redo it the night before.
Yeah. So we maybe what we do is you guys don't schedule anything right now. At the second meeting in May, we'll have a hopefully better idea of whether or not things are really reopening around here, and if it's likely that you'll be able to do an in-person meeting or not. And we'll still have plenty of time to put any notices out that need to be sent out at that point.
That sounds good. Anything
Aside from that, I think nothing further to report.
So our permissive referendum period is over, correct, for the sewer mixer? Those 30 days are now up?
Yeah, if it's been 30 plus days since the action, then yep, that would be over.
Okay.
And I assume no one's filed any petitions.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Do we need to authorize that again now that permissive referendum is up, or is that just good?
Nope, the action you took was self-effectuating once the permissive referendum period ended.
I like that term, self-effectuating. Thank you for using it. Any member of I guess does Jason or Bob have any questions for Nate?
No.
That brings us to the clerk treasurer's report.
It's just the month-end report that
Yeah.
I sent to you. I also gave you a copy of the sneeze guard acrylic panels type thing, protections. I did cancel one thing off the order since the town is now building that one for the counter, but that's what they are that I was talking about in my email yesterday. So.
Had a problem with my microphone and then I made it way worse.
Oh, there he is.
He's back.
I'm back. I had a problem with my mic on this end and then I don't know what it wasn't good. Shouldn't have done it. Tried to resolve it quickly and then I realized I shouldn't have it wasn't a problem and then.
Did you throw it like a football coach would?
Well, no, I didn't get drastic, but I thought I had a connectivity problem because my microphone kept saying it wasn't able to be used, and there was probably a little bit of an issue, but I made it way worse by disconnecting basically myself from the Zoom meeting. So my apologies.
One other thing that I wanted to bring up in my section was the fact in this NICOM meeting today, they have some numbers from sales tax revenue and the changes. So January was up about 16% for Broome County. February was up 8%. March was up about 7%. April is already down by 26%. So we're going to lose tremendously in the sales tax area. That's just from the month of April's 26% loss in sales tax. We talked today about the AIM funding, and that's going to be one of the first things that's probably going to go. So that's going to be another $7,200 out of our budget that we're probably not going to get. We'll know more Friday. The governor's supposed to release a list apparently of things that he's going to cut. The way he did it, maybe I'm wrong with this, Nate, but what Barbara was saying from NICOM was that the way he's written it in there, he's given himself 3 phases that 3 time periods that he can go ahead and could cut things. And the first period is the 1st through the 30th of April. and they're already down. So they're looking on cutting state aid anywhere probably, and they're guessing at this point 20 to 50% or more. And then also in that same line, CHIPS can go, Extreme Winter can go, Pave New York can go. So those are all things along with education, et cetera, that's on the first cutting round. So
There's also a bill before Congress that includes significant local government relief, although I don't expect it in its current form to get
no way.
very far, personally. But
Right. And of course, NICOM's obviously pushing for everybody to
Not
support
pass.
that and get a hold of your representatives, your senators, et cetera, to explain how much we really need the support back to the municipalities. So I'm done with my report now.
They're not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
No, they're not.
anybody have any questions for Linda? Okay, code report. I don't believe we had one in our packet. That's correct. We did? I
Uh-huh.
didn't see that one. Okay.
I didn't see it in my
Yeah.
mail, I don't think.
Bob, did you find yours?
I didn't see a code report.
Yeah, he put it on one on the thing. He said basically he's had 8 year-to-date building permits, 1 sign permit issued. He's had 3 site plan applications, variances. McDonald's renovation plans are on hold. Then he's got into his things that Nate alluded to earlier. Rose Young Stewart is working with an attorney firm now to help her fill out her paperwork that she needs to put a like trailer type thing back on the premises of where she's at, which at that point would then come up to have to be a special variance to do that. He's had complaints about uninhabitable building on Monroe Street, junk and trash on East Main Street, and Riverside uninhabitable home inquiry, which I don't know what that is. So needs to get with a webmaster for the village.
What was that?
Needs to get with the webmaster for the village. Outdated forms.
Updated forms.
I think
Tell him
he
to stop
emailed-
using Johnson City forms. It'll be great.
Yeah. I think that he emailed. I'm not sure. And he also has asked to be put onto the scanner, onto the copier, and I'm like, you got to wait till this is over with.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's got to
Nope.
wait. Not a priority.
Okay.
So
He wants to, to do what? He wants to scan to his computer?
he wants to scan to his computer from the copier like we do.
Okay.
Which is fine. Down the road, that's not a problem. But right now, he
He
really
doesn't use the computer. I'm not going to do it on his laptop.
what he's really looking for is the forms on the web need to be updated, and I
Okay,
believe he emailed you with that. Yeah, a while back. So
I'll check.
yeah. If
As
not,
far
I'll
as it
do it again.
As far as it pertains to code, we will need Nate. Nate, are you listening?
Say that again.
That's all you need to say. I want to make sure you were still there. I think we had discussed this at a recent meeting, the creation of a deputy code enforcement position. I've spoken with Dave Conklin, who would be, the person to be appointed to that position. I'd recommend. However, we need to create that position first, and I believe that would be done by probably process would start with resolution by the board.
So I would actually ask that we explore with civil service whether the village has on the books already the position created and existing.
We have Ken's position created, but that position is not.
Right. So the first thing to do would be to create the position of, and then the question is full-time or part-time code enforcement officer, and then get with the county to make sure that they have a job duties statement for that part-time position, and that whatever the qualifications would be, licensed as a code officer.
Yeah.
And then once that's all squared away, so you create the position and then appoint the person. I mean, I'm expecting that is this going to be part-time?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so as a part-time, it's likely not competitive or in any sort of a fashion. And so you'd likely to be able to just appoint whomever it is that you're looking to do that. And lots of places just appoint a person and then backfill in with civil service, all this stuff. But it's a better process to work through with civil service, make sure the job duties statement is correct, create the position, and then appoint the person.
Okay, so if we get a job description, the board would create it by resolution?
Correct.
Okay. So probably what I'll do is we'll get, I'm assuming there is a job description like this from civil service. We'll get that and then prepare. I have asked him for the pay rate that he requests and so on, prepare something for the board to consider at maybe our next meeting with all the information, the job duties, the pay rate, and all that stuff. Does that sound good to everybody? Okay. Any other questions or comments about code enforcement? Okay, then we'll move on to the fire department report.
I did not see one of those in,
He had 2 pages in with his.
I got that one, yeah.
Yeah.
That one was in mine at least.
He had 2 pages in with his. He has 91 calls year to date. Monthly meetings and trainings for May have been postponed. The Scott Peck's safety inspections were completed. They've had 3 working building fires and 1 water rescue in April. All state fire classes have been canceled for the remainder of the year. A noticeable increase in call volume with warmer weather approaching. And then his second page was the fundraiser that they're looking to do that he mentioned at that one meeting. With the ATV raffle.
Anybody have any questions or comments about the fire department? All right, we'll move on to library, which is pretty much informational. Anybody have any thoughts, questions, or comments about that?
So, I mean, just to go off on a little bit of a tangent, but with the library, they're doing their vote through absentee ballot? Did I read that properly?
The school board, their school election and their budget election have to be through absentee ballot,
Well, that's going to be
which means
bad
that
turnout.
their little increase in their income would also be on that.
That is a cause for concern too. But they're worried that, you know, if you don't, turnout's going to be low with an absentee ballot. And so you never know how those can go. And I don't know what the budget vote for the school will be like. I do know that, you know, given what you were talking about earlier, Linda, about more cuts coming, and I know that we have shaved $1.6 million off the Whitney Point school budget just through attrition and cutting some, or just not offering things anymore. Pure attrition. We had a lot of retirees, and from what I understand, we've hired almost very few people back to fill positions. We're just going to let it shed and sit, unfortunately.
And that's going to be interesting to see how they're going to do that with keeping 6-foot distance, etc.
I have no idea. Like I said, I've discussed this. This is my 4th Zoom meeting of the day, and the first 2 were almost all exclusively about the potential of school reopening and what that's going to look like. I mean, even coaching. I mean, you got to make a decision by August 1st, really, whether or you're going to have. Well, I mean, we have to be notified at the very minimum by then whether you're going to try to attempt a fall sports season or anything like that.
That's what I mean. Before that, I would think
really,
sports.
Really tight. Yes, and I don't even know what they're going to do with that. That's a whole, you know, you budget for that, but you're not going to pay anybody out. They're going to pay us for services we don't do. So it's a weird limbo kind of thing. I don't know what they'll do.
Lots to be determined.
Yeah.
I believe just running with what Jason just brought up with the election stuff, I believe I sent this out, but Jason and Bob's election has been, well, assumed re-election has been delayed until September. So you guys you're stuck until September. So sorry. Sorry, guys. Any other questions or comments about library?
Nope.
All right, we'll move on to public works. So while we're discussing public works, Scott's, I think it's 2B, that's the proper certification. His test is this coming Monday. It is being proctored at our garage this coming Monday. So we hope to have his results shortly thereafter, and then be able to move forward with our Jim's retirement process shortly thereafter, officially, whatever that may look like. Jim did submit an official. I think did he send it to all of us, or did you mail it out, Linda?
You and I, that was all he sent it to.
Okay. He finally submitted a formal letter. His technical end of which has been his plan. He won't be working for most of July because he'll have time to eat up. But his official, end of his full-time work with us at least will be, the end of July. And Linda and I were talking about this before the meeting. We would most certainly like to have some type of celebration for him because he's given a lot to the village throughout his career. But right now, those, we'll see when the time gets closer. Any questions or comments about public works? We are planning on going forward with the second yard waste pickup in this month. The second plan.
Note to selves: if you want to mess with people, start talking about taking away their yard waste collection.
Yep. If you want to go looking for hot water,
Exactly.
just don't be shocked if you get burned a little bit. Let's move on to the sewer report. Which was very brief, which I can appreciate times like these. I think it said close to this verbatim, nothing new to report, but that could change tomorrow. Any questions or comments about sewer? Okay, old and new before executive session. Old business. I mentioned that one already. This doesn't fit easily into old or new, but I just wanted to reference the passing of Marv Gregg, one of our longtime community members and entrepreneurs. And he and his business have had a big effect on the village, and he recently passed. So our thoughts are with the family, and we honor his memory. I believe that is all the old business that I haven't already referenced or we haven't already discussed throughout the meeting that I had. Did anybody else have any old business? All right, new business. I haven't had any that wasn't already discussed during the meeting. Linda may have seen some documents on this, I'm not sure, but I understand that Subway has been sold.
It has not been sold yet.
Not been officially sold.
Nothing
Okay.
officially yet.
I hear it's very close.
Correct.
So just a little piece of information for you.
I found that out just a few minutes before the meeting started, Ryan. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I also heard a rumor, just to dispel this rumor, that Ace Hardware was closing because they had put up a sign that said "Thanks for the memories," and it's actually their store manager is retiring, so that's what that sign is in reference to. They're operating as normal.
Who is their store manager, Dave?
Dave Shouty. Anybody else have new business? Okay, then I will look for Bob specifically to make a motion to take us into executive session for the purpose of discussing contract negotiations.
I move we go into executive session to the purpose of discussing a contract.
Thank you, Bob. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second. Do we have any discussion? I'll call the vote. I'm kind of hoping somebody votes no, so we can end the meeting. Jason,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Okay. Wait, turn the recording off. Board, somebody on the board make a motion authorizing. Okay, so now that we're out of executive session, we will seek a motion to, I believe if the motion holds, send a 2% increase in fire contract to the town of Barker.
I will make that motion.
We have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second it.
We have a second. We have a discussion. Call the vote. Jason,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? All right. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for ending that discussion in a pleasant
Civil.
way. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See you in a couple
Bye.
weeks.
See you
Meeting's
soon.
adjourned.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Night.
Bye-bye.